J.D. Weber.
And more bad news on the housing market today. The number of people signing contracts to buy previously owned homes really took a nosedive last month, plunging 26% to a 7-month low. So if you're thinking about putting your house on the market anytime soon, it's easy to see how you might feel discouraged. Our next guests say having your home professionally inspected before you put it on the market could make all the difference. So with us now is Kathleen Kuhn, HouseMaster Home Inspection CEO, and Matt Kaplan. Matt is president of Long Island HouseMaster. Welcome to both of you.
Hello.
So Kathleen, first begin by explaining to me what exactly pre-inspection is all about.
It's moving the home inspection to the point of transaction. That's an advantage for the home seller. So the seller gets the house inspected, they're educated on the conditions of the home, and then they have some options. They can make the necessary repairs, which is the ideal situation in today's market.
I was just going to follow up with that. Why is that a good idea in this market when it takes so long to turn a house over, to sell your house? Matt,
well, there's so many ways you can go about selling your house today, and you have home buyers coming into a home. There's many neglected homes, and the seller can take advantage of that by inspecting their house. They can repair any condition that is a defect, get more for the house. They could show the repairs right then and there. They can prepare a report before the home buyer comes in, because most home buyers negotiate 2 to 3 times is what the actual cost is.
Can you say one way or the other how much this might expedite the home selling process?
Well, we do know that 1 out of every 10 deals is falling apart right now. So conditions never really play a bigger role. And we know at HouseMaster we're seeing an uptick in the number of realtors that are promoting to their sellers to get the house inspected, and sellers taking advantage of that. So it also addresses some of the lower appraisal issues.
So then what would you say then is, how does it help the seller set the sale price? I mean, can you actually get more for your house by getting these issues done and resolved ahead of time?
Oh, absolutely. The condition of the home is a very big factor in the whole value equation. And when the real estate market is tight like that, at HouseMaster we've been in business for 32 years, so we've seen this before. The condition is going to play a bigger role. So if there's a newer roof, if there's newer heating system, cooling system, things like that, those are all positive. So a positive to the buyer, and also a positive when the value of the house is appraised.
Why wouldn't the buyer just want to depend on the seller's appraiser and the seller's inspector, and just kind of hope perhaps that maybe the buyer's inspector misses something and then they're kind of off the hook to put out the money for those necessary repairs?
Well, you're talking about the seller hiring an inspector now, and then when the buyer hires their inspector. That's 2 different things.
Right.
Hopefully, when we perform the home inspection for the seller, the buyer comes in and sees that HouseMaster, which is a national company, is doing a legitimate report.
Sorry to interrupt you, because as the buyer, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to trust a seller's report.
Yes, well,
right.
There's 2 different types of seller reports. You can have a checklist, which is it's just like a 20-minute inspection where they just do a quick run through the home, or you can get a full-blown report showing defects and the positives and negatives of the home. So any home buyer can see that this is a professional report, and they can hire that home inspector who already just did the seller's inspection to use them for the buyer walkthrough inspection.
Okay, so what, Kathleen, then should a seller, what kind of checklist should that person go through? I mean, what are the things to consider when choosing a home inspector?
Well, that's a great question, because even more importantly, when a seller is choosing a home inspection, they want to make sure they get a qualified company, get a qualified report, because that inspection and that report will come under scrutiny. So first of all, you want to ask, what kind of training has the inspector had? Unfortunately, many trade associations don't require any initial training. Also, is the inspector tested annually? Because things change. So you want to make sure that they are kept up to date. Also ask, what kind of a report do they deliver? Is it a checklist report? Is it a professional computerized report with pictures that really clearly demonstrates and documents the condition of the home? And then, does the company offer a guarantee? Will they stand behind their findings?
All right, so you guys have a front row seat to the housing market and all of its woes. The economists have pushed back a bottom for prices until next year now. What are you seeing? I mean, is it really as bad out there as we're hearing?
Well, there is activity. I mean, there's many foreclosures, short sale homes, vacant properties. But there is, I think the economy is turning around for the most part. We're seeing a little bit of an increase in sales in certain areas. There are some other areas that aren't moving as quickly. But this is a type of program, the seller's inspection, which will help move the house quickly And then therefore you have a buyer that sees that the house is pre-inspected. They can put a sign on the front lawn, pre-inspected home, and advertise the home as a pre-inspected product, and therefore you can stand out from the competition.